This year Peter Drennan asked me if I wanted to travel out and cover the feeder World Championships out in Lithuania. And of course I jumped at the chance. I think this is a great chance to see the venue and also see the team in action. I've travelled all over Europe, but I've never actually been to Lithuania. Of course, the venue that they're fishing's different to any other venue that they've fished before. A lot of the venues have been still waters, and this is a river 100 metres wide and also quite a pacey river. So it'll be real interesting to see how the lads get on. They've got a fantastic team of anglers. Today's all about a sit-down practice on the River Trent, just to tweak a few things before they travel out there.
So today we're on the banks of the River Trent. We're having a little get-together just to make sure we've got all the kit we need to get these big feeders into that fast-flowing river. With our season finishing in the middle of March, we're not going to get any chance because our World Championships is in the start of June. This year, I'm going to do things a little bit different. The team has already been picked before we get there. This gives us all the chance we need to practice the venue without fishing against each other. All the anglers know this is going to happen, and it just gives us a best chance to read the venue and get the best possible result. Last year, there was a few teams made the same decision. Ireland did it, and look what happened to them. They are the current world champions. So in all, there's going to be no pressure on the lads to try and make the final 5 placings. The guys can go out there and practice their hearts out until we get the venue sorted.
As this year's captain, obviously it's always an honour to be captain of your country, but we're going to Lithuania. It's very much the unknown, probably the most unknown venue we've ever been to. We've got some information, we've heard rumours of obviously 200 gram feeders, which I think is a little bit scaremongering. I think we're going to find it's a big river by UK standards, but I think sort of 60, 80, 100, 120 gram is probably what we're going to be faced with. But species-wise, again, we don't know what's going to be in there. Some carp turned up last year. Will they be back? We're going to have a really, really tough week because we're going to be learning on the job. 5, 6 years ago, apparently, the main species was roach. Last couple of years, it's been sort of bream and roach, and then carp arrived. So we aren't quite going to know until we get there. There can be some little fish in the weed, but I'm hoping they don't play a part. So ideally, roach, bream, and then a few carp mixed in.
The standard of anglers that have fished this feeder World Championships has got better and better over the years. So it's really difficult to call a favourite team. There's so many teams that could be in the running, and with such a different venue, anyone could win this match.
You'll have to excuse me with the weather. The weather is atrocious, and it's actually improved a little since Monday. Monday they had gale force winds and it was really, really cold. Today it's only maybe 12 or 14 degrees, and you can see we wrapped up waterproofs and it's still cold. Today it's the 4th day of practice for Drennan Team England. The first day, the problem with these type of venues, not a problem, but often they shut the actual watercourse for maybe 2 weeks before a World Championships. And sometimes this is quite detrimental because the fish are not used to feeding. So often on World Championships, the first day is really difficult fishing. And that's exactly how it proved. They caught a few perch, an odd pommies as we call them, silver bream, and a couple of bream, but it was quite difficult fishing. The day after it was a little bit better, but when we arrived on Wednesday, they'd started to catch quite well, and there were weights up to 7, close to 8 kilos of smaller fish, pommies and roach. For this practice session, the lads are on A1, box 1, which is a little bit of advantage. When you're fishing with 6 anglers in 5 pegs, you can move the angler on the top peg up to the top of the box, which gives the lads a little bit more room. The pegging is unbelievably tight, and you'll see that when you start to pan down the bank and see the anglers actually fishing. It's not like a competition in England like we'd have on the Trent, where we'd have 25, 30 metre pegs. these anglers are probably only 10 or 12 metres apart on the venue. The competition at the weekend is 2 5-hour competitions, and of course practice is exactly the same. They have the same rules for practice as what they do for the weekend. The competition at the weekend is 2 5-hour competitions with a 10-minute pre-baiting on each day. So the 10-minute pre-baiting is at the start of the match, where they can put an amount of bait to start fishing over. Of course it's a feeder competition, so they have to feed with a feeder. You always have to have a feeder on the line because it's a feeder competition. Practicing is very important for this competition. You can simplify things. You can say, look, you've got a feeder and a hook length with bait and bait in the feeder. But of course there's all sorts of different styles of feeder. There's window feeders, there's cage feeders, there's plastic type side loaded feeders, there's maggot feeders, there's all different ways of fishing with different feeders. Of course the hook length also below the feeder, it's got to be 50 centimetres, that is the limitation. You can't fish with less than 50 centimetres, but also you can fish longer. So it's finding the right hook length for the fish that they're catching as well. For practice there's been 6 anglers fishing in a box, but of course for the weekend there's only 5 anglers fish each day. Now the team now are ranked number 2 in the world, and I can tell you now they really will be trying this weekend to regain that number 1 spot. What do you think to the venue, mate?
It's a brilliant venue for a World Championships, Alan. It's a big river, everything's really accessible, and the fishing, we've been here 4 days now, and it's been totally different every single day. And I'm sure it's the weather. I think it's got something to do with the weather.
Yeah, I mean we've already said that it's freezing cold. I mean if we were in England and you got a cold spell like this, it nearly always knocks a venue a little. I mean yesterday you had a great day. I mean
yep.
Weights from 5 to nearly 8 kilo.
Yeah.
A small fish, so you know there's plenty of bites. There's fish to be caught. It's whether it changes for weekend because it's going to get a lot warmer, we hope.
Definitely. I mean, we've got some guys who are in the what will be D&E section, where we caught all those fish. The Germans caught as many fish as us yesterday, and there's been hardly anything caught.
Right.
And so
it's still early though. I mean, we've not been fishing that long. We've been fishing an hour.
But this time yesterday, every one of our lot had between 25 and 30 fish.
Ah, right.
And
yeah.
this morning, it's just nothing like that.
Yeah.
So it's a natural river, isn't it? It's a natural venue that it will change. I think the weather plays a big part, as you alluded to, Alan.
I think with a lot of these venues, it's always the same. You get the first day is difficult, the second day gets a little bit better, third day. Fourth day is usually like lift off when there's a lot of fish caught, and it's gone a little bit backwards, hasn't it?
It has. There was a couple of weeks ago they had the Lithuanian Championships on here, and we've got all the results. I think they had 2 days practice. The first day fished, there was like a 10 and 12 kilo of bream, which isn't many fish because they're big fish. That probably between fish, 6 to 8 fish, and there was a lot of like 1 kilos to 3 kilos. And the weather was like this. The day on the Sunday, the sun came out, flat calm conditions, and all the weights doubled, nearly trebled. Yeah. So it's just not like at home. You go home, if you're fishing for skimmers, you'd love this kind of weather, wouldn't you? Overcast skies, ripple on the water.
Yeah, but not as cold as this.
Not as cold as this, but when we come abroad, the amount of times that you catch more bream when it's flat and sunny, it's unreal.
Yeah, I always think that fish in England react differently to fish on continent.
It's like a role reversal, it's unreal.
Yeah, it certainly is.
I mean, we all know that there's plenty of fish in here, and as you said, conditions are going to play a massive part.
Let's hope that it warms up for weekend, and it changes the fishing for the better. I'm sure it will.
Even for the bank runners as well.
So my 4th year with the Drennan England feeder team, doing the bait for the guys for the last few years, but with the departure of Jamie Harrison, Dean's asked me to step up, take a little bit more responsibility, and now I'm assistant manager. So what does that entail? Well, that means I have to make sure that everything's running smoothly on the bank. I'm Dean's right-hand man. If they need anything, if the lads need anything, and obviously when on the day of competition, I need to make sure that I am there to jump to anything that needs to be done. I'm involved in going to the captains' meetings, and obviously I will be there at the draw for the lads. So that's my more responsibility, but I love every minute of it. It's fantastic.
So Monday morning came, it was the first morning that I had my big responsibility of going to pick up the bait from the local supplier. I arrived at the supplier at 6:45 Monday morning, all keen to see what it was like, after I'd heard so many horror stories back home that the quality you're going to be shocked with. It's not what you're used to. Surprisingly, when I picked it up on Monday morning, the maggots was really good. The casters was pre-packed, which obviously back home we don't like, but they was okay, they was usable for practice. Coming knowing that come Saturday and Sunday they was going to have our own casters, so that was fine. Each day then we had the process of getting the bait ready for the lads. Come practice, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday. The baits change through the week because obviously they're trying new things each day, so we had to get different kinds of bait, pinkies, dead pinkies, live maggots, dead maggots, casters, worms, red worms, bloodworm and joker. It's worked out really good through the week. Everyone's mucked in, but it's been a big responsibility for myself. It's my first time here, so there's been nerves there as well, I can tell you that now. But I've really enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. The passion has been there. So we've carried that out. It's been long days. For 48 hours, we had like 7 hours kip. So that's how many hours we've been doing, getting the bait to the best of bait available for the lads to just concentrate on their fishing. Don't worry about anything else. But come that Saturday, the big day, their bait is going to be the best bait on that bank. I'm talking with pride now, I can feel myself going, but it's brilliant. And then on Sunday, when we're up on that podium, collecting that gold medal, we know it's been worth it.
The England team have just finished day 4 of the Feeder World Championships practice. They've had a very, very difficult day, but we were told this by the local anglers that the area that they'd drawn in was very shallow and difficult. So after 3 hours of fishing, some of the team got up and had a wander around on the match length, looking at some of the other anglers that were fishing. Because our section was so difficult, I think this was a great ploy by Dean Barlow to send the anglers to have a little walk around. Now this is allowed, but also I think it's a good move because the team is already picked for the weekend. So they had a walk down and saw Breamcourt and where some of the other anglers were approaching the venue. Now hopefully for tomorrow we're in box 6, which is where there's been a few bigger fish caught today. So let's hope tomorrow that the England team can put a few of these fish in a net at the end of the session, because I think come the weekend they'll be so important. Really, they've had not the best of draws for practice, and especially losing the first day with the conditions, and also the fact that the venue had not been fished for a couple of weeks. So sometimes you think a full week's practice, you should easily be able to sort out the tactics. But often the first couple of days are so difficult, and then the fish start to feed. Last day of practice tomorrow, this is so important for them to put a plan together for the 2 days at the weekend. I'm joined this morning with Michael Buxwalder. Is that right, Michael Buxwalder?
Oh, it's near enough, mate, near enough. Everyone just calls me Bud, it's easier.
I'll just call him Bud. Bud, or Michael, won the World Championships last year with a stunning performance out in Spain. What's your thoughts on the venue this year?
It just couldn't be more chalk and cheese, really, could they? Like, we've gone from a river, Guadiana, which is like a lake, to be in something that at times resembles the Ganges in India. It's like ridiculous. It's a fantastic venue. The facilities, parking, like everything's just tailor-made for a sort of international venue, as you well know. And the fishing's really varied, so every team, if you're going to do well, you have to have 5 guys. And I don't think you can formulate a plan, because some pegs are like a count of 3, some are a 7, some are a 6. There's no sort of set plan, and the flow of the river dictates where you're going to fish half the time. So it's a real good venue for a proper World Championships. I think the best team probably will win, but there's going to be a few lucky big fish, big carp, odd big tench. If you're Johnny McKinley from Ireland, probably caught the only tench in Lithuania yesterday. Bit of a funny one to that. We have a €20 a man bet, first person to catch a carp over 1 kilo. So Johnny's hooked one yesterday, he's playing it like it's the crown jewels, pops up, he's like, it's a carp, gone to netted it, and a £5 tench looking at him. All of us bust our hole laughing at him. So it's good fun. It's obviously a fair few crack-offs and stuff and that. Even all the best in the world are cracking off. Because the feeder's obviously rubbing on the braid, fishing braid direct, and 300 or 400 times of rubbing on it, it just starts to fray the bottom. And if you're not careful and change your rods every morning, it goes bang, which is a bit of it's quite funny, to be fair. You lose the way everyone on a team and ice cream. So,
what you've got to think, I mean, they're using feeders up to 120 gram maybe?
Yeah, I've got them up to 200 gram. Like, I think we were fed a bit of a bum steer, to be fair. I think the local lead suppliers around here were trying to get rid of some feeders and some lead.
So you've not been on any roofs pinching any lead?
No, I've got so much. Roger's a strong guy. He can't even pick up my net bag, my bait bag. It's ridiculous. Like, I've got enough feeders to last, me and you 4 lifetimes. Like, that's the only thing wrong with the World Champs is you try to get involved local teams and bits and pieces, but they fish the river all year, so they're telling you worst case scenarios to best case scenarios. So you've got to bring everything to. Trying to source stuff when you're on the bank is a nightmare. Yeah. So literally, I mean, at the end
of the day, it's a river. You only need a load of rain upstream, and
it's obviously. Everything. You look at how wide is it here, Alan? 200 metres.
Yeah.
It's an extreme amount of water to come through a system. We're nothing like this in UK or Ireland. Even like the Ern's, nothing like this. Doesn't flow anywhere like this. So this is like, it's an amazing venue. It's difficult to beat like these guys. Fish the Danube, and the Germans the Danube and the Rhine. So they've got a lot of experience fishing big rivers. And obviously, with me fishing for Ireland, living in England, I've not been out of practice for the last 2 months because of the silly close season over at home. So I've just been doing kit basically.
I mean, obviously last year you won the individual, you also won the team.
Yeah.
A fantastic performance. I mean, what a performance were that,
and there's so many
to win in Spain.
And we don't catch Crassios ever. You just stumble across the plan.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens when you win big championships. You stumble across plans, don't you, and stuff like that.
Well, I'm sure that here you'll have sorted a plan out, and I'm really looking forward to see how you perform this year. That's a fantastic achievement to win both medals.
Hopefully in about 4 days' time, me and you are doing this, congratulating me. I'm trying to catch you up now. I'm only 4 behind.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice too.
It would be really nice to see you win it again.
Awesome. Cheers, Al. Thank you.
Mate. This morning I'm joined with Dutch superstar Raymond Hansen, fishing for the Netherlands. Now, Raymond I've known for a long time. I've actually drawn next to him, is it twice or maybe twice at world level?
Yeah, I think twice.
And both times he's beat me. He's certainly a superstar, and even at the feeder, I know that Raymond's a fantastic angler when it comes to feeder fishing. And he's also won the European Championships twice, so he's a multiple medal winner. What's your thoughts on the venue, Ramon?
It's very different every day. The venue is, it's like every box is like a complete different venue, to be fair. The fishing is brilliant, I would say, if you get some bites. And today we had very good weather, so I think we should get some fish. But interesting, it's the good word to say, I think.
Yeah, have you fished this venue before?
No, never fished it before. We have someone with us in the bank runner staff that fished it a couple times with a pole, and he had some great stories with brilliant catches, so the expectations are very high.
Yeah, I think the fish here a couple of weeks ago and the weights were a lot better. I think hopefully that now the weather's starting to improve, hopefully the fishing will improve as well. I mean, you know, weights of 12 up to 15 kilo possible, but where the fishing's gone, I think it's going to be a little bit harder than that. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we have been very unlucky with the weather, to be fair, with a lot of weed flowing in the water, so that makes it difficult. I think it really puts the fish off feeding, because when you see the amount of fish stopping at some point when the wind dropped, that was certainly showing how many fish are in this venue. So hopefully with the improvement of the weather they start feeding.
Yeah, I mean, you've got quite a lot of venues like this in the Netherlands. I mean, we've not got so many in England. We've got probably the River Trent, maybe the Yare, that's got a lot of flow. I'm sure your team will be one of the teams to beat, so good luck for the weekend.
Thank you, Alan.
Right, I'm joined now with one of my good friends and also a fantastic angler in Walter Thomas. No, it's Thomas Walter.
Look, my Alan is Thomas,
Yeah.
and my Scotthorn is Walter. So my family name is Walter, which is a common first name, a surname all around. But in Hungary, this is a normal name and a family name as well.
Right,
So
yeah.
my name is Thomas, which is
Thomas.
Tom or Thomas or something like this.
Yeah. Right. Obviously, you're world #1 at the minute with the team. I mean, I've had the unfortunate time of actually drawing next year in England at Barston, and I can say that time you doubled me. To come to England and actually beat me on one of my own waters.
I don't remember that particular day too
I
much, but
I remember it really well.
I remember very well the last day when you were opposite me.
Yeah.
Yes, because the seat box was my direction.
Yeah.
And when the match was over, I said, "Oh, we had a good day." And Matthias came and asked, "Where did you cast?" I said, "Look, Alan's box."
Yeah.
It was nowhere already. It was 15 minutes and the box was not there. That was probably not the best match of you.
To be honest, I mean, to come to England and at that time, because I don't think you'd been fishing with the feeder that long.
Yeah.
And yourself and Laszlo
Yeah.
were first and second. Well,
Now, Matthias was first. I was second.
yes,
Laszlo was five.
yeah.
Top five.
Brilliant, brilliant.
It-
Feeder
Maggot
fishing.
only. We fished maggot only. We tried
Right,
to avoid every small fish, and we fished maggot only behind the ground bait. And in Barston, that was not so much regular that time, probably. So
No, very, very good. What do you think to the venue here? I know you know, as a team, Hungary will be very, very hard to beat because it's not a local venue to you, but I already know that you've already fished here before.
we fish some very, very, very similar venues back at home. River Danube and Tisa, the big rivers are quite similar. The species are quite similar, but the conditions are very different. To arrive to a country in the summer, where you have 12 degrees as a maximum in the daytime, cooling down the water, even day, during the night as well, obviously, it is completely new for us. And the fish are very passive and very slow and very, how to say, negative. So we tried to adopt this thing in the last couple of days, but only partly successful, to be honest. I don't feel ourselves as one of the favorite teams.
Yeah, I think here you're going to need a little bit of luck because there is an odd big bream. As you know, it's important to score some anglers very low to carry the other anglers that don't score so well. I'm not going to ask you anything about tactics,
but you are absolutely right. If there would be only a very odd bream, maybe 5 anglers in a section, then, and there would be if there would be, but we don't find yet, a safety way to be in the top 10, then if everybody has 10 points as a maximum, then you don't have to care about the bream. But as the sections are quite long, not divided to 2 parts, unfortunately, so they are big sections together, and how to say, they are bending a bit, you know, from left to right. It's
Also,
I believe
the narrow, where it narrows seems to be better in the section.
Yes, So it seems to be that then even the best and the most prepared teams will have some double figure points.
Yeah.
And if you, as you say, if you don't have some anglers with the bream, how will you hold the guy who made 15 points, even if he fished the best match of his life?
Yeah.
So as we don't have this safety belt on us, you know, with some other type of fishing, we really have to risk for the bream in certain circumstances.
I don't know, in my experience, normally on a World Championships, if the fishing gets to Thursday and starts to decline, normally it's a difficult competition. Hopefully today it's a little bit nicer, the weather's better, hopefully there'll be more fish to catch.
My honest opinion is that we will see the most catches on Sunday, and because it's a very, very big natural water system. The feeding what we do, what caused the decline most of the time, is not a factor here. This feeding what we do with the feeder, it's very different from the big bowls of pole, including all the live baiting, you know. So I don't think that we caused any damage on the fish yet, because it was so negative with the cold wind and the rain. So for me, feeding-wise or pressure-wise, the match starts now with the good weather. And I don't think that it will drop. Honestly, in my opinion, it will be an increase in the next couple of days, which gives a big advantage for the locals, because they know what to do and we just try to find out.
Anyway, good luck for today, and hopefully you'll catch some fish today, and of course, good luck for the
You know our
weekend.
box number?
Yes, box 2.
You know the story of Team England yesterday on box 1?
Yes, I know so that was difficult.
When I started to plumb the bottom, I immediately realized what was the problem there yesterday. There is no water. We have a water like this, and up there we are fishing in 7-8 meters deep, so nothing to compare.
Maybe if it warms up, it'll be better here, but we'll wait and see. But good luck for the weekend.
Thank you, Alan.
And it's
Thanks
nice
for the
to
chat.
see you again.
See you guys.
So this has been my first World Championships, and to be honest, I've absolutely enjoyed it. The experience I've had fishing with these guys and part of this team has been absolutely incredible. Today's the last day of practice, it's Friday, and Dean's decided we're having 5 anglers in a box rather than 6, so I'm an extra pair of eyes on the bank today, having a look at the venue, having a look at the teams that are doing well. But more importantly for the lads in the boxes, they've got the correct amount of room, they've got the actual match peg distances, which is very, very important. The mood in the camp's phenomenal at the moment, everyone's feeling quite confident. We've got a few things sorted, but today's going to be a big day when we can put the last few pieces together. I know Steve's just had a decent fish, which is what we needed today, so that's brilliant. I think going into tomorrow, we are confident, so we've got to try and do what we do and hopefully we get there. The weather this week's been up against us, to be honest. The weather and the box rotation. We've had unfavourable boxes, we've had wind and rain, and today obviously we've got bright sunshine. So we've had all the conditions. Heard a little murmur from some of the locals that the nicer the weather, the sunnier and hotter it is, the better the venue fish is. And it looks like the weekend's going to be bright sunny weather, so we're hoping the fishing's going to be good. Going into the weekend, I'm going to be reserve. That was always the plan coming out. I was always going to be the reserve. I've hopefully added some stuff to the table for the lads, and hopefully I've brought plenty of that in. I think the lads on the bank runners in particular, obviously there's going to be Dean and Westy, myself, Gareth Lambert, Max Stevens, are going to be on the bank, and I think it's going to be a really, really important cog in the team's performance. This is one of those venues where, and as it always is, the guys on the bank are as important as the guys on the boxes. They need information, they need eyes and ears elsewhere, which we can tweak tactics if we need to catch big fish or carry on with what we're doing. So I'm going to be giving it everything this weekend, and hopefully we can bring home a medal.
I'm joined with the Belgium manager, Walter Lenz. Now, Walter's already told me that this week they've had a difficult week. What's your take on what's going to happen for the weekend?
Well, the problem with the course is that, in my opinion, you have about 4 different areas. You have the first sector where it's shallower, with less fish from what we've seen over the week. Then you have B and C sector where I think more bream can be caught, but it all depends on the strong current or not strong current. And then you have D and E sector. Yesterday we were there, it was terrible, no bites even, small fish. Only on the left side, which is no longer in the course, you could catch carassios and some bream or bigger fish. So the first pegs in this sector will be better.
Yeah.
So, but for the other ones, I think you have to aim for the roach, because there are nice roach on there. Find a way on how to avoid the small perch.
Yeah.
And hope that some bream come from time to time in between.
Yeah.
That's.
I mean, for me, there's maybe two ways to approach this match. Either you fish for the small fish and hope you get lucky to catch a bigger one with them, or you target the bream, which is very, very
too risky,
dodgy,
in my opinion.
very dodgy.
I would not. I will not do that.
No.
For sure not. I want them to catch. Try to target the nicer roach, because there are beautiful roach in there and good sized skimmers, and hope that there comes a bream in between. But really going like we fish in Belgium or in Holland, cutting worm like hell, then you have all the perch. So that's something we will surely not do.
Yeah, right. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the weekend.
Yeah.
I think a team that does target the smaller fish could well get on the podium and could well win as well. I've seen this before.
Yeah.
So good luck for the weekend.
Thank you, Alan.
And I'll see you while I'm walking around.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
No problem.
I'm going to show you the feeders we've been using in this year's World Championships in Lithuania. Although the team have bought a mass of different feeders in different weights, sizes and styles, we've actually only ended up using 2 different types of feeder. These 2 types of feeder are an open-ended cage feeder and a block-end maggot feeder. To start with, the cage feeder. Now, whilst back in the UK, a standard cage feeder is fine on most of the UK's rivers, the flow and the depth on this particular river and this particular venue in Lithuania are so strong and so deep, we've actually had to adapt these feeders to suit the venue. With that in mind, we've actually bought some feeders with spikes on, which help stick in the flow and actually hold the feeder to the bottom. And also we've adapted some of the feeders that we've bought and added some spikes to them to help them hold in the flow. On to the blackcap feeder. Everyone's heard of the Amazon blackcap. It's a famous maggot feeder, and these are the feeders we've been favouring in this year's World Championships. The only thing we've had to change and essentially adapt with these feeders is 2 things. The weight, because the Amazon blackcaps aren't heavy enough for the venue. We've actually had to add some bigger leads to these, up to sort of 70, 80, even 90 gram. Alongside that, we've actually had to tape up the central part of the feeder. Now this does 2 things. Firstly, it actually stops the maggots coming out on the way down. An open maggot feeder would release the bait too quickly in the depth and the flow. So as you load the maggot feeder, cast it into the river, it's actually letting some of the bait get to the bottom before the maggots are released. Otherwise, bait would be coming out too quickly, dispersing down the river and taking the fish with it.
I'm joined now with Felix Schurman. I believe that you are ranked #1 feeder angler in the world at the moment.
Yes, that's right, yeah. So
right, fantastic.
maybe the last days, but we will see.
Yeah, you must be one of the favourite teams for winning here, because you've got a lot of waters in Germany. I mean, you fish for Germany.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of waters in Germany that's very, very similar to this, that you fish quite regularly. So it's not a daunting task for your team to actually try to win here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we have a few flowing rivers as well in Germany, and we like the river fishing. And to be fair, we had a brilliant practice week.
Yeah.
Very good days. And but as you also know, the weekend can be different.
Yeah.
But I think
I've been following a little bit the results, and you've caught quite a lot of the bigger size fish. The England team have really struggled to catch these fish. I think yesterday being in box 1 was not the best practice for them, and it's difficult to think that they can put you know, these bigger fish in the net for the weekend. Your team must be, you know, one of the favourites to win here.
We will see. We had, like I said, we had a good week, but we also had a good rotation for the practice. We had some good boxes where you can also catch a few fish, which is very important to try some things and find something out. Yeah. But yeah, we need a good draw, and then hopefully we will see if the tactics are right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend and watching you. I'm sure that you'll have a big crowd behind you, being the #1 angler in the Feeder World Championship. So best of luck, Felix.
And you, thank you very much.
I'll keep my eye on it at the weekend.
Yeah.
Let's talk some tactics ahead of the weekend, and it really is going to be an interesting one because there are two major species to go for. It's the big fish, the bream, and then you've got smaller fish, which is roach and as well pommies. Now, we believe that a safer and more conservative team approach is to fish for pommies, so we're going to look at fishing a ground bait feeder early doors. This is to try to win some fish in your peg, give you a great chance of a bream. A few maggots in there maybe, but really not a lot of bait, just taking it dead steady. And we believe that's the best way of giving yourself an early chance of a bream. However, we have had some great success in training on a maggot feeder. Now, this isn't something that the rest of the teams or the rest of the countries tend to do. I know they've probably seen us doing it a little bit, but it's not something that we're expecting anyone else to do. And when we've put it on, it's been really good for roach and pommies. So we believe we might be spending a lot of the match doing that. Now, that's only if the bream don't feed. If the bream are feeding, we'll have to stick on that ground bait feeder. But if it's going to be a small fish job, I believe that maggot feeder is going to be really deadly. I'm going to get my gear set up now. Hopefully, it's the right tactics.
We've had an amazing week's practice here in Lithuania, and we've learnt loads about the tactics, the species of fish, how to catch them. But one of the most important things that we have learned is to be safe and to be sturdy on the bank. So a lot of this venue is covered with this concrete slope, very steep concrete slope going into the water. And we need to make sure that our platform isn't going to slip on that concrete slope. Otherwise, it's curtains, we're in the water, our kit's in the water. The last thing we want to do is that to happen. So we're making sure that we ratchet strap ourselves to the bank. We're lowering our platform down, we hammer in a big stake into the grass, we ratchet strap ourselves around the stake and our platform legs, and we're finally ready to start fishing with a box on that nice sturdy platform. We know we're not going to slip into the water, we can be safe on the bank.
First day of the World Champs tomorrow. We're just back at the chalet doing a bit of last minute prep. Been such an interesting week this week. I mean, river venue like this, home from home for me, you'd think, growing up on tidal venues, but it's so different. The rules are the biggest thing, because at home, all the feeder rigs for fishing on a river, the fish hook themselves. On here, you've got a fish totally free running, no backstops, no knots, nothing that can impede the feeder's passage up the line. So hitting the bites, especially off small fish, has been a bit of a nightmare. So we found little things like rod positioning, completely different to back home, where you try and take the pressure out of the rod. Here, your fish locked up a lot of the time, and threading the bait on as well. So like, especially for small fish, threading a maggot right up the shank of the hook, maybe tipping it with another maggot, maybe fishing it on its own. It's been so important this week. It's been absolutely fascinating fishing. And the bigger fish we've not quite got the grips with yet, we don't think, but we've got a really good backup plan. Whether that's enough of a kicker to get us a bit further or not, I don't know, but we'll see. But we've got quite a good plan to go into day one to hopefully avoid a blowout, so fingers crossed.
Right, it's Friday here. We just got back to the digs. As it's always a hectic Friday, everyone gets the kit back out. We need to redo rods, tie some hooks, time's of the essence. One thing I want to touch on, what's been really, and it's opened my eyes and all the lads as well. Pretty much for probably 5 or 6 months we've been building a collection of feeders. Don't get me wrong, obviously, personally, I've been doing this for 13, 14 years now. The amount of feeders we've got is absolutely phenomenal. So we've been proper building up, listening to them, 80, 100, 120, 150, 200 gram feeders. I ain't got any of that. Most of the lads haven't got any of that. We don't do that style of fishing in England. And as it's turned out, everything that we've bought sorted has near on been pretty much a waste of time. Here in Europe, they fish these venues all the time. And what's become apparent is a lot of them are fishing with a spike feeder. So let me explain this to you. For you to fish with a, say if a venue wants 120 gram, if you fish with a spike feeder with claws on it that digs into the bottom of the riverbed, you can get away with maybe 100 gram, 80 gram, maybe a third. To put it into perspective, you can use a third less lead, which obviously helps with bite indication, hooking more fish. So all the background work that we've done, it hasn't been wasted, but it goes to show that you don't always know until you're here. So what's basically happened is we've been caught short. Yes, we can buy the product, but as with a lot of things, a shop bought product isn't always good. So what we've done this week, we've been to a hardware store down in the village. It's a bit like a B&Q back in England, absolutely phenomenal, got everything you want. We've bought the wire to do it, we've bought clippers, we've bought pliers, we've bought araldite, and we've doctored the feeders that we've got that we use in week out to help us to do this, and it's been phenomenal.
Well, we've just returned to the digs after 5 days really intense training on what I can only describe as probably the moodiest venue I've ever fished. When I say moody, it doesn't necessarily mean bad fishing, it means really tough. We didn't know anything about the venue when we came, and that was deliberate. We wanted to come into it with clear heads. Preconceived ideas sound great, but in previous years, particularly last year in Spain, Merida, we went out, fished the Merida Masters, 2-3 weeks before? Thought we'd got a really good idea of how the venue was going to go, and it ended up setting us off on completely the wrong track. What you can't replicate when you go on advanced trips is world champs pressure. 7 days fishing on literally one day after another with no break changes a venue. And I honestly think this year might be different. It's one of the reasons local teams or the host nation often doesn't win, because a venue changes during a World Champs Week due to the pressure of being fished every single day. So what we wanted this year, and I think we've done it really well, bar one day where we had a really poor box, is follow the mood of the venue. So we wanted to come, see what we could catch, see what the main species were, and then just adapt and see how the venue progressed. But what's made it tough is the venue's changed every single day, as in one day the small fish are fed really well, the next day there's been no flow, the next day a few more bream have been caught. It's a really fickle venue, and honestly I've never been to one like it. But we've got a plan, and I think today, as in the last day of training, has probably been our best yet, because it sent us down a path which I think, safe doesn't sound very inspiring, but I think it's a really good way of fishing, as in it's 22 peg sections this year, so massive sections, no splits, and I think top 5, top 6 for everyone in their section isn't going to see us far off the pace. Lithuania and Germany look amazingly strong, but you don't know what's going to happen when they're mixed in with all the other countries. So I'm thinking really good plan, target those small fish, put sort of 3 to 6 kilo on the board, and then see where we are going into Sunday.
Right, here we go. It's the first day of the Feeder World Championships in Lithuania. The river this morning looks fantastic. We've got a lot better weather. It's a lot warmer, there's no wind, there's lots of fish topping through the venue. So maybe today the fish will start to respond to the bait. The bait check's been done. We're now, 40 minutes away from the start of the first day. What's your thoughts, Graham?
Well, obviously we've just done the bait check, and I was really strict, but this is when the fun really starts to happen. We've had 5 days of intense practicing, and yes, some days we've not caught a lot of fish, but that's because we're doing an elimination process. We're trying to eliminate methods that we don't think are going to work. And sometimes we have a good day, sometimes we have a great day. We had a really good day in the middle of the week where we put a little plan and it worked fantastically. Now I can't go into the plan because obviously it's day one and there's people standing around us as we film. But we've got a plan, fingers crossed. It worked really well. We fished it for an hour yesterday. Everyone caught a lot of fish. So we're going to put this plan into action today, and hopefully now that will catch us a few fish. We certainly can't win it on the first day, but we can be out of it after the first day. So it's really important that we stay in touch with the leaders on the first day, Alan.
Yeah. During the bait check, did you see anything that was any of the anglers had anything different to a norm?
Well, the thing is, that's it with the bait check, is there's always favourites on every single World Championships. Lithuania have caught a lot of fish all week. Now everybody was looking to see what Lithuania would have done and what their bait was. And as we thought, very light coloured ground bait. But they're going to do their thing, we're going to do our thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's really important.
What you've got to understand, when it's a World Championships, there's a bait limit. And it's 2.5 litres of bait. But of course, there's all sorts of different baits you can have. You can have worms, you can have maggots, corn, casters, all sorts of different baits. Of course, bloodworm as well. Even though it's a fast-flowing river, bloodworm can play a major part still. So it's interesting to follow the actual bait check, and you can see what all of the anglers have got, which gives you some indications of maybe how the teams are going to fish. There's not too many people about, and we are going with a lot of maggots in our approach today. The lads have got at least 2 litres of maggots. So let's hope that their plan works today. There we go. Start of the pre-baiting. We're now at the halfway stage, and I can tell you the river is fishing totally different to what it did yesterday. It's incredible how it can change literally overnight. I'm gonna quickly run you through how the team are doing. Will Freeman's up in A section, and to be honest, is really struggling. The area that he's in seems to be full of very, very small fish. And of course, you've got an 80-90 gram feeder on. And as soon as you've got 80-90 gram, it's difficult to hook and also land. There's a lot of fish is pulling off, which are very, very small in that sector. That section is difficult. If he does catch a bonus fish, it'll get him right up the section. So we can only leave Will and pray that he gets a bigger fish. Next section down's Rob Wotton. And he's had a bonus bream in the first hour, one probably around about 1 kilo. Now this fish in this section will be really important, because when I was there, the section was fishing really difficult. Now I've also heard down the grapevine that he'd started to catch small fish very well as well. So added to his bonus fish, there's a chance he's going to finish well up that section. We then come to Adam Wakeling in C section. He's in a difficult situation, and I've been in this situation myself. It's a team competition. The lad next to him has caught 3, while I was there in the first hour and a half, he caught 3 proper bream. But he's fishing totally different to Adam. He's chucking well across the river, maybe past 3/4 of the way across. And he's started to catch bream. But of course, really, Adam's got to keep his blinkers on, because that's not our team plan. He's fishing much shorter and fishing for the small fish to try to finish as high up that section as he can. Now I've heard also that he was starting to catch quite well. So let's hope he can put a bonus fish to the small fish that he's catching. Steve Ringer is really in a section of 2 halves in D section. The top end of the section, nearly every angler has had a bonus fish, either a bream or a big carasio. And the problem for Steve is in the lower part of the section. And he's really struggling. He's catching small fish, but unless he catches a bigger fish, he's going to finish midway and maybe even lower in that section. We all know what Steve Ringer's like, and he can often pull a rabbit out of a hat. So let's hope Steve can get one of those bigger fish to get further up that section. Then we come down to Lee Kerry at the bottom of E section. He's the second peg up in this section, and we all know that on a river, if you've got an area below with nobody fishing, it's a very, very good draw in that section. And he's catching a lot of fish. He had 50 plus fish after 2.5 hours. But these fish are quite a decent stamp. He's catching the bigger silver bream, or pommies as we call them in England. So he's doing extremely well in this section and could even be leading. Even though there's been an odd bigger fish caught, an odd carasio and at least one biggish skimmer, I still think that Lee could even be leading this section. So that's the result that we want. You often need wins to get up to those top field places. We've just finished the first day competition. It's been absolutely incredible. I'm lost for words how these lads have performed today. They scored 24 points to win the day. Now, how they've actually achieved this is frightening, because they started off so slowly. They stayed confident with the tactics that Dean Barlow and the team had put together and finished up with a great result. Right, we're 1 hour now before the start of the competition. The bait check is just taking place behind me, so they're checking the bait of every angler through the section. I've spoke to all the anglers this morning, and they're all very, very confident that the tactics that they used from yesterday will again deliver good points again today. Yesterday they scored 24 points, a mega achievement. But today they've got a very difficult task. Personally, I think that 30 to 35 points is probably the best they can achieve off the draw that they've got, simply because down in D and E section they've got two quite difficult pegs, the wrong end of each section for the stamp of fish that they want to catch. So if they score 20, maybe 22 points between them, the other two lads have got to deliver some good points in the top three sections. If they can score 30 to 35 points, they really are relying on some of the other teams then to fail a little. It's going to be a real touch and go day and a real roller coaster to the finish of the match. Right then, here we are. It's the halfway stage. 2.5 hours in, things are looking slightly better than what they did at this stage yesterday. Starting in A section at the top of the stretch, the upstream part of the river, Will Freeman's on peg 4 and he's fishing a nice tidy match. On fish count, he was second in the actual section. So he's doing really well. So it's all down to the size and the stamp of fish that the anglers are catching. You can only really go on numbers, and at this minute in time he was second on numbers of fish. Lee Kerry is in B section, and B section he started off really well. The first hour he had 19 fish, which again was a much better start than what we had yesterday. But it seems to have tailed off a little bit in this section. It seems to be a difficult area, but he still keeps putting fish in the net. So as long as he can keep ticking over I mean, thinking back to Will Freeman yesterday, he was really struggling for 3 hours, and then their method of maggot feeder started to kick in and he improved to come fourth in the section. Adam Wakeling, or the Animal as I've nicknamed him, is flying down in C section. When I was down there for the first hour, he was catching one every chuck, so hopefully he's right up in that section. Then we come to D section, the difficult section for Steve. Steve were in this section yesterday at the wrong end, but there's been a slight change today. The top end of the section is not fishing quite the same as what it did yesterday. And we already know that Steve's had a 600 gram skimmer to add to the fish that he's catching. So hopefully Steve can pull his usual good score out from a real difficult draw. Last but not least is Rob Wotton, who's down in E section where Lee Carey was yesterday. But he's at the wrong end of the section today, he's at the difficult end. Early on he was struggling a little where there were quite a lot of anglers in his section had got more fish. But with our tactics of maggot feeder, every day it's got better, so hopefully he'll catch back up in that section. To sum it up, our tactics of feeding ground bait at the start and maybe after 30 minutes changing to a maggot feeder seems to be working very well again through the stretch. There's one thing for sure, we certainly aren't running away with it, and it's going to be a tight finish to the end. The match has only just finished. It's took a long time to get the results in, but finally we have won. What a fantastic achievement. They've scored 28 points today after scoring 24 yesterday. Winning yesterday but also finishing second by a point today. So they are world champions. What an achievement. What you've got to realise is that it's 10 years since the England team won this World Championships. So the lads are absolutely buzzing with it. Yes! The week set off with everything wrong. The weather were wrong, the conditions weren't good, and the river also was not in good fettle. But working together, they put together a plan that's got them to the gold medal. The tactics were to start on a ground bait feeder, to put some ground bait through their peg in the first half an hour of the match, but then change into a maggot feeder over the top gave them chance of an odd bonus fish by introducing that ground bait, but the maggot feeder was brilliant for catching the pommies, the silver bream and also the roach. As always at World Championships, it finishes up with a bath in the river, and they're just about to go and jump in. This is going to be epic.
Team